Out of all of the titles that the Borderlands series boasts, Tales was the biggest surprise to me. I mean, it's Borderlands, shoot, loot, raise absolute hell, so how on earth are you going to fit that energy into a Telltale game that, for all intents and purposes, excludes the real Borderlands experience? But against all odds, they managed to do it, and Tales from the Borderlands is arguably ranked as one of the best entries in the entire series. Then comes new Tales from the Borderlands. Okay, full disclosure, I was warned quite a bit ahead of playing this installment of the Telltale side of Borderlands. I mean, shit, a lot of people just told me to outright skip it. Should I have? Probably. But in a weird way, I'm glad I didn't. Look, the game is not great by any means, from its insistence on constant unfunny comedy, or the fact that the game seems to both follow a direction and at the same time completely lose itself every chance it gets. So yeah, it's not great, but to me, honestly, it's more than that. It's disappointing through and through. As to why it's so disappointing? Well, let's get into it, and as always, if you have your own thoughts on new Tales, drop them down below. I always love hearing others' takes on these games, especially this one because I'm genuinely curious what people honestly think about it. Let me know. Okay, new Tales from the Borderlands. God, you are a mess. I figured I'll just be upfront about it. I don't exactly have a ton to say about this game. Overall, it was an experience that, well, I can't exactly say I enjoyed, but I hesitate to flat out call it a bad game. Sure, it's not great, but to me it was more disappointing than it really was bad. Given my experience with the original Tales game, a game I absolutely adored, I thought the next logical step for the Telltale Borderlands series would have been to roughly pick up where we left off with Reese and the gang. Especially with the choice towards the end of the game where Reese is given the option to either destroy or keep the ghost of Jack, so to speak. I truly thought that was setting something up for the next game. Like maybe New Tales takes place before the third game again and it's centered around Reese trying to rebuild Atlas, Fiona becoming a real bona fide vault hunter, or hell, even Vaughn becoming the bandit warlord he attempted to be in Borderlands 3. Hell, I think that would have been a lot of fun to witness, but instead we got a sitcom. I think. I don't know if that was the intention behind New Tales, but yikes, does it feel like the most mediocre of sitcoms, complete with all the annoying tropes that seem to plague the worst of them. To roughly summarize, essentially New Tales has a large overarching plot about the device and Crystal, and because of that, and the gang of, well, these three, get themselves into all kinds of shenanigans trying to bring the device to the forefront and change the world. Yeah, you know, like going on a game show or finding a new place for the gang to hang out, but the original one turned out to be the best, just having a bad day, then just having a good day that was kind of a trap, and at the end of it, kind of sort of giving up and going home. Yeah. Now, the original Tales did something similar in the sense that there very much was an overarching plot point with quite a bit of shenanigans behind it, but the individual chapters and events branching off from that plot always at the very least felt relevant and aided in pushing the story along. Here in New Tales, no, not really. These offshoot events, while being relevant to the story, had a weird habit of always ending where they started in the first place. Take the third chapter, for example. Anu goes off to retrieve a body for testing, fails to get it, comes back empty-handed. Octavio goes off to find a new location for the business since Fran's was destroyed, and ends up buying Fran's. And Fran herself, well, she did Fran things. This puts them back exactly where they started at the beginning of the chapter, and only after the same freaking sequence that plays out about 50 times throughout the entire game of, oh no, you led Tedior right to us, we finally get an answer on what the ray gun's capabilities really are, and it only then finally decides to push the story along. What's worse is this is all played out for what I can only guess was meant to be a comical payoff, but it wasn't really funny. Honestly, it felt like a waste of not only their time as the characters, but mine, going off on these weird errands just to wind up back where they started, and it happens a lot. Literally every chapter, and look, I get it, for all intents and purposes, these three idiots are trying to start a major company, but it's just not amusing to sit through. At least in Tales, when the absolute bullshit started flying, at least something would happen to change the dynamic or the state of the characters and their goals, but here, no. All these chapters are just moments that don't serve the story in any meaningful way, just for the last 5 minutes of the chapter to swoop in and finally push the story along. Which is entirely why I call it a sitcom, and look, sitcoms can be funny and overall fulfilling to watch.
The horror. Why would you just say something like that?
Mainly because they never take themselves super serious, at least not until the end of the sitcom itself, where they finally need to button up some loose ends and give some semblance of a satisfying ending. But part of the fun of sitcoms is before that ending rush, there is no point episode to episode. They are all self-contained and plots that can essentially be summed up in a single 30-minute episode. New Tales to me is clearly trying to do that, giving each chapter its own plot regarding whatever hijinks the gang is getting up to, and had it been just that, honestly, it probably would have been fine, but in the same breath, New Tales tries to shove this massive, literally world-changing plot in on top of it, and it causes each chapter to just feel empty because the story would never progress until the last possible moment. It's almost like New Tales didn't really know what it wanted to do. Try to sell a major story like the original Tales with comedy sprinkled in wherever it fit, or just be a full-on episodic-based sitcom with a heavy focus on constant comedy. And yeah, let's talk about that for a second here. New Tales is freaking constantly trying to wedge in jokes and funny haha moments to literally every single line of dialogue, and it's horrible. There are some funny moments, mainly for me stemming from the TDR soldiers and Fran.
On your knees! Get on your knees!
No.
Are you trying to bluff us? Ha! 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 Ha!
But other than a very few set of instances, nothing really struck me as all that funny. To be entirely frank with you, most of the time it came across a bit pathetic. Take Octavio, for example. I mean, to me it's obvious, more than likely he was set up to be the comic relief side of this trio, but contrary to what a few shows have managed to do, there is a such thing as too fucking dumb to be funny. Octavio has these moments in New Tales that are clearly meant to be ha ha ha, he made us stupid again, but oh my god, sometimes stupid is just fucking stupid. Honestly, I felt bad for the dude after a while. I mean, seriously, some of his decisions in New Tales are so pathetically dumb that I have to wonder how on earth the other characters thought there should be any level of trust given to him. I feel like if you want a comic relief character to be this level of incompetent, then you can't give them big plot pivotal things to do, because guess what? You can already tell they're gonna screw it up, so why would you give it to them in the first place? And this isn't exclusive to just him. Honestly, the amount of stupid equals funny they tried to wedge into this story was honestly annoying, and that's saying a lot. Hell, it's Borderlands. A lot of it is stupid equals funny, so how they screwed this up is beyond me. And even in the quote-unquote more serious moments that they're not playing off this equation, the insistence on shoving a joke or awkward exchange into every goddamn sentence got so old so quickly. Hell, I think the game could have actually benefited from a laugh track shoved in the background, because I sure as hell wasn't laughing. Actually, hold on, I want to try something.
Like it has to be. It's so important. And also almost time for our quarterly reviews.
Yeah, it's still not funny. Anyway, even in those few moments that were funny to me, it was never that shocked, guttural laugh I got from the original Tales. At best, it was more akin to a haha, good one. And that's, well, frankly, that's just disappointing. Tales from the Borderlands was such an amazing surprise to me for the Borderlands series. It goes against all of its best aspects and seeks to tell a great story while sprinkling in the humor of Borderlands in a fitting and welcome way. But New Tales seems like the focus was solely on humor and less to do with telling an actual story. And because of that, and every moment played solely for a gag, the game feels empty and boring, made all the more worse by the fact that their main goal, this constant sitcom humor, doesn't land 95% of the time. Hell, some of the conversations were just awkward, especially around Octavio and Anu. There are these moments of trying to mend a strained brother-sister relationship, but then they undercut it for a quick
Ha!
And again, that's just disappointing. It's not anything I would have expected going into the next installment of the Telltale series of Borderlands. And there are a host of other things I could go into about the game. The ending kind of following suit with the rest of the game, and no real change was ever accomplished through the entire 10 hours. The Vaultlander guy who pops up just to waste time. The Vaultlander minigame that, while amusing, was stupidly easy. The fact that you can entirely skip Octavio's hacking minigame, which is, I guess, just another time waster. Non-memorable characters, characters, major missed opportunities, or whatever else the game quite frankly attempted to do and missed the mark. All of these things just build to one single point, and that's that new Tales from the Borderlands is just disappointing. And it is made just that much more apparent with just how amazing original Tales was, and the ending potentially setting up so many different directions to take the story. But new Tales starting post Borderlands 3 with no real new plot to build on and flesh out, the game just feels empty and lost at nearly every moment. Tales gave us insight on Reese and Vaughn, Hyperion and Jack, and introduced us to great characters like Fiona and Sasha. Hell, it even gave us moments from characters we already knew and loved. Scooter's final ride, Athena and Janie Springs, Brick and Mordecai capturing Athena to kick off the events of the pre-sequel. It managed to do so much and so much well that looking at that and then seeing New Tales, a game that ends right where it began, never seems to actively push the story forward, is so insistent on ramming funny, unfunny moments into every line of dialogue, and seemingly refuses to fill in the blanks on anyone we met in Borderlands 3 or beforehand, and instead I guess just wants you to play out its own froyo sitcom on the surface of Promethea, and it's just fucking disappointing. Well, that's about it for me. Told you I didn't have much to say. I don't know. This game took me all of 16 hours to run through it twice, and, well, of course I got the same ending both times. Honestly, can't tell what changes it, and honestly, I don't care. Not a game I think I'll be playing again anytime soon. Original Tales, on the other hand, well, I need another playthrough just to remind me of how great that one was. As always, if you have your own thoughts, let me know. What do you think the point of this game was? Story or sitcom? Give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Ooh, or random question. Are laugh tracks as bad as people say they are, or do they actually help? Wasn't the time, but maybe if you use them in the right place. Anyway, see ya.